I finally finished the 3.0 main story and it was absolute cinema, bro. Okay, so the story starts off with us talking to Shorekeeper in Namipon's cafe. And god damn! Shorekeeper still looks beautiful as usual. She tells us that thanks to Namipon, the Black Shores has confirmed Lahai-Roi's relative coordinates to Nami City and stabilized a one-way tunnel. We then notice Shorekeeper is worried about something, and she tells us that the current void storm is lasting longer than usual, and that for now, the Black Shores can only see little of what's beyond the rift. And unlike other regions, Lahai-Roi has no sentinel. There is a Thenorian though, and it was once a hidden wasteland until the Space Track Collective discovered it. Wait, Space Track? Like the movie? Wait, that's Star Trek, my bad. And remember when I said Lahai-Roi had no sentinel, but there is a Thenodian? Turns out, it has been there even before the Space Track Collective discovered the place. It has been the one causing the void storms. Oh, and for those wondering what happens if someone is in a void storm, you will start to vanish because it sucks out human frequencies. Anyways, long future dialogue short, the source of our problem is in Lahai-Roi, and the solution is also there. We go back to school under Black Shores using our old acceptance letter since it's still valid. Somehow. How is it still valid, bruh? Shorekeeper won't be able to contact us once we enter Lahai-Roi, but she tells us she will always be in Black Shores waiting for us. Damn, Rover. You lucky motherfucker. Chisa arrives. They go to the tunnel. Shorekeeper tells us and Chisa that the tunnel is only wide enough for one person at a time. Bro, what do you mean only wide enough for one person at a time? Look at the size of that. Well, if we use a wormhole as a reference, that would make sense. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. After saying goodbyes, Chisa enters first and we finally enter the tunnel. That's the long dialogue shortened. That wasn't short at all. Anyway, while we were walking through the tunnel, we suddenly see ourselves fall dead and scattered to shreds. What the? Hold on, what is this? Why are we getting strangled? Is that an eye? Well, hello, who are you? Okay. After being saved from that eye thing by an absolute baddie, we cut to Linnae shooting someone on the back of their head. Now that's kinda dark, ain't it? We'll get the context to that later on. We then cut to us getting out of the tunnel and gliding down it. Ooh, we get hit by Linnae with her motorcycle that's probably going 60 miles per hour. But nah, we shrug it off like it's lightweight and do a superhero landing. Shit, okay. After Linnae sees our acceptance letter, she puts away the Glock and she checks up on Rover. Damn, she for real was about to shoot us, huh? We get interrupted by a void worm, so we get on Linnae's motorcycle and ooh, a hologram helmet, okay. The void worm starts chasing us and then god damn, this guy is huge. Rover notices that the void worm is carrying the Thenodian's frequency. And the fuck, this worm legit just threw exploding black holes at us. Abby then tells us that the void worm was the one that stole our frequency. We tell him now's not the time to face off with a giant ass worm. After playing a bit of tag with it, we use the terrain against it and the void worm gets crushed under the debris. But it's not dead yet. That definitely won't be enough to kill it. And after everything that happened, we finally arrive in Star Torch Academy. Yay! Bro, all that just to get to the academy. Damn. Us together with Linnae start heading to the academy with a cutscene showing the scenery. And ooh, the music, bro, just makes it 10 times better. Okay, the OST, oh shit, okay. Damn. God damn, the music slaps. And that's the end of the prologue, bro. So much already happened as that's just the prologue. Oh my god. Alright, so Act 1 starts with us finally entering the academy and we get to see the scenery inside. And by scenery, I mean these cool baddies right here. Hello. Okay, Linnae then tells us since we have no frequency cassette recorder yet, we have to register our terminal at the Resonance Nexus to gain campus access and permit for a vehicle. She then tells us to go to the infirmary since we landed in an active voidborn zone. And she hit us with her motorcycle pretty hard back there. We then asked her what she was doing there. I'll tell you what she was doing there, bro. She just killed someone. After getting hit with some really bad excuses, she tells us it's complicated and asks us to keep it a secret that she was there and that she skipped class again. Cause the record can't handle another strike. Well, now she owes us a huge favor and she'll do anything we ask. Anything, huh? Okay. Linnae then gets a call from her group mate instantly chewing her out.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Wait, pause. That sounded wrong. Pause. It's about the group project. What the heck were you guys thinking, bruh? We tell her she can go and that we can register our terminal and go to the infirmary by herself. So we register our terminal, and while on the way to the infirmary, Chisa messages us checking up on us. Abby tells us that we still haven't recovered the frequency that we lost, and that both the void worm and the big eyeball thing we saw earlier both smell like the Snowden. Oh, remember the radio broadcast at the end of the previous main quest? The girl that was talking in the broadcast might have been the girl that saved us from the eye thing in the tunnel. We tell Abby that we should focus on fixing our fading frequency first, and that we can just keep an eye out for the girl in the Lahai-Roi. What if I fucking struggle saying that, bro? Oh my god. And we're suspecting that Linnea is hiding something, which she is. We then cut to Linnea also suspecting who we really are. Damn. We finally arrive at the infirmary and talk to the android nurse named Nana. Oh, and Linnea is also suddenly back with us. Chat, hear me out, bro. Hear me out. Why is that android nurse kinda bad low-key? After a bit of a checkup telling Nana we slipped and fell, sure buddy, totally didn't get hit by a motorbike. Nana also detects a residual void storm waveform and our frequency loss. We then head inside for a further checkup and we meet Dr. Luke Herson, who I'm just gonna call Herson because no way I'm saying doctor every time I mention this guy. And am I the only one getting vampire vibes from him? Look bro, he looks like a vampire! And I already see the ladies being down bad for him. Anyway, Herson tells us that there's nothing to worry about. No major stuff happening in our body besides the frequency loss. And speaking of frequency loss, he can't track down the exact source of it and says that the research institute might have a more thorough scan for that. Then he gives us a sort of speech about the academy's spirit, teachers, students, or whatever, nothing too deep for the story, and some advice not to put your life in danger just for research data. He then tells us that if we got any problems, don't hesitate to come find him. And right before leaving, this guy suddenly drops a
"Welcome back."
Hello? Not only is the answer us to something, person knows who we are, because no person will ever say welcome back to someone unless they know the person they're talking to. Anyway, they then checks up on us and like, bro, she for real wants us, bro. No! We then find out what a frequency cassette recorder is. It's basically a cassette tape that's both an ID and a safety device. Bro, why are they still using a cassette tape? Anyway, we need to go to the research institute to get one, but first we need to get enrolled. So we then go to the faculty office and we hear these two professors talking about the void worms and that they have been unusually active lately, and that they have to finalize a countermeasure soon. The defense already also took major damage during the last void storm, and that they are pushing extra manpower to repair the lure device in the worst case scenario. Why the fuck did I say it like that? Why the fuck did I say lure like that? Okay. And in the worst case scenario, they will have to send a suitable resonator to handle it. After some bit more back and forth between the professors, us and Linnea finally enter the faculty, and instantly Linnea gets scolded because she skipped class again, and that she's always at the bare minimum of attendance requirement, and that at this point, only perfect scores in every subject is gonna save her. Yo, you need to lock the fuck in. Oh, and the professor's name is Voss, so yeah, I'm gonna just call her Voss from now on. She tells us how to enroll. We just need to register our personal information and take an ID picture for our student card. So we put in our name, and for our contact address, we either pick Jinzhou City Hall, the Black Shores, the Unitas Hotel, or fucking Sky for roof, Earth for bed. Home is wherever I roam. Nah, bro. This might be peak. And of course, I picked the fourth option since I'm funny. Then for our ID picture, we have 4 poses. And of course, I'm showing off that sword, bruh. Look at that beautiful sword. My face doesn't matter here. We then asked Linnea if she wants to take a picture together. And I kid you not, she legit asked Voss, the professor, to take a picture of us. And she's actually chill with it. What? Anyway, after that, we get our student card. And Professor Voss tells us that we're asynchronous. And that the student card is the only pass links to our simulator cockpit. Wait, does that mean that we're gonna control a mech sometime in the future? This doesn't get mentioned yet. Maybe in a future quest though. She tells us that their goal with the Exo Shatter is to take on the Tenodian. Bro, I already know what this is gonna look like. There is definitely gonna be a giant mech versus kaiju fight, bruh. I want some backstory about the Exo Shatter. No one knows which civilization built it. Some think it shares the same origin as the Sentinels, but no Sentinel has ever confirmed it. We then ask where is the Exo Shatter, and the lady tells us,
not here.
But that giant sword we saw in the cutscene at the end of the prologue is its sword. And it just keeps the Tenodian Aleph 1 contained behind the Strider Gate. The fuck kind of name is Aleph 1, bro? What the fuck? Professor bosses tells us more stuff about the exostrator, which just makes it more and more of a giant mech, and it's gonna be controlled by multiple people. Just imagine it like the Megazord or like those Seegers in Pacific Rim, bro. Oh, and it's also connected to the new solar ceremony. Don't mind this too much for now. It's only mentioned again like once more in this quest. We're only gonna get into that ceremony probably in the next act. We then tell Professor Boss to chill with the lecture and we finally go get our motorbike. Finally, what I've been waiting for. So we go to auto parking and engineering expertise and we meet this robot named Sigma.
At your service.
And bro for real has a traffic light for a head. Well, I mean, it makes sense since he handles the vehicles, but bro, this part basically just goes the same way as earlier, so I'm gonna just speed it up. We got our motorbike. Sigma gives us the safety regulations. I ain't reading all that, but enforces too anyway. Sigma says that Lene has a few violations in the vehicle management code, but she says she's not the only one that does mods to their motorbike. And after some introduction to the motorbike features, we finally head out to the research institute, and that's the part shortened. While on a date ride with Lene, she shows us the way up to the research institute called the Starboard Raceway. And those features that we saw at the beginning, it's made from the scattered mech components of the exostrator, which eventually turned into the creatures we now see called exoswarm. And before going to the platforms, we go to the research institute. All of a sudden, Lene stopped beside the road for some quality time. She just opens up to us about what she's feeling and officially welcomes us to the academy. And damn, she wants us for real, bro. No guy will ever be able to resist that look, bro. Anyway, we hit the road again and we enter a tunnel that's full of stuff. After dodging some gates and getting out the tunnel, Lene tells us that it's not usually like that. And bro, oh my god. With the addition of the music in this part, it's just so peak, bro. We finally arrive at the platform and Lene starts to look off. So we ask her what's on her mind. She says she just saw more voice storms than usual on the way up, but that's not for her to worry about, and that the priority is getting our cassette burned. Lene tells us that from here take the Star Tours Express to go straight inside, and once inside, someone will take us to the cassette burning room, and tells us that if we've got any questions, find Professor Mornier. We then head down and the camera turns back to Lene with a sudden mood switch, saying it's time for her to take care of her own business. We then get this cool cutscene and we finally arrive at the research institute. Yay! A new destination! We then follow the directions given to us to the cassette depository. And this place doesn't look like where you burn a cassette at all, bro. Damn. We search the room and we step on this platform thing. Holograms start showing up and we start seeing scenarios from the past. Professor Mornier shows up and he stops what's happening and tells us that those were just the server racks for the cassette frequency data, and that we should stop resonating with it before we cause an overload. And she also seems to kinda know who we are. Bro, we gotta do better at being undercover. She introduces herself to us and brings us to the cassette burning room. We also introduce ourselves and guess what Mornier says?
I know.
But we really gotta do better. Anyway, while on the way to the cassette burning room, Mornier tells us that the things we saw earlier are memories that are stored in the cassettes, and that those are crucial to the continuity of self-aware consciousness. And because void storms suck up frequencies, the Research Institute made the cassettes to capture and preserve a person's frequency and memories, safeguarding that person's very existence. We arrive at the burning room and we get another cutscene where we see memories of our journey from the start up until this point. And wait, that last part didn't happen before? Was that Mornier? Okay, that part was definitely from old Rover's memory. Anyway, we get our cassette, get it calibrated, and the researcher tells us that our frequency exactly matched an already existing frequency in the database. Yeah, that frequency is definitely from old Rover. Mornier tells the researcher that it's just a data error and just override it. Mornier gives us our frequency cassette recorder and tells us how it works. We then ask Mornier about our frequency and she tells us that it's still stable for now, but it still does show signs of past loss. Mornier then gets a call because two professors are arguing about the artificial sun's launch process. For the second time this month, bro! We accompany Mornier to the artificial sun lab, and while on the way, she tells us that they are planning to replace the sun. We arrive and get to know what the two professors are arguing about, and I'm gonna just summarize it, bro. So basically, this guy Warren wants to follow the calculations of the Roi tribe, who are indigenous people that live underground of Lahai-Roi, and this guy Anselm wants to follow the Institute's calculations. Mornier breaks them up and says that she'll go to Biartar Woods to consult with the Helio 6. Now, who are the Helio 6? I don't know. Probably the elders of the Roi tribe. We'll probably go more into them in the next update, because they don't get mentioned again. The two professors make up and that's that. We then talk to Warren and just some chit chat. Nothing too important to the story. Probably the only thing worth mentioning here is that he knows Chisa and that he's the supervisor of the lab. Anyways, we look around the lab and this place really reminds me of Herta space station. After roaming around, Mornier asks us if we want to attend new solar ceremony. And bro, is it just me or is she blushing? Ain't no way. Anyways, we accept and suddenly a voice storm appears. nuclears near Sondermere, and the source is the Hypatia detector, and that the Hypatia has been compromised by the Void Storm and that is gone rogue. Ornier tells us that the Hypatia detector is a critical sensor for the reactor drive, and that is off course and it's now targeting us. Oh, and I forgot to mention this, my bad. The reactor drive is basically the sun in Lahai-Roi right now. So yeah, that's what they're planning to replace. A student shows up near the detector and surprise, surprise, it's Linnae! Because of Linnae, a lockdown is triggered and no one can stop it. We then plan to go to the Hypatia detector, but the main train suspended. So guess what? We take a motorbike and jump down. Note that we jumped down from the height of a skyscraper, by the way. We're just built that different, I guess. Anyways, we move to Linnae's POV of not too long ago, probably a while after she left us. She talks about a message she got from the Fraxidus liaison. Linnae says the Void Storm should have erased him, but she's still getting messages from him. And they know what Linnae did hasn't blown her cover yet. After going through exoswarms that have been altered, which is probably also the Fraxidus doing, she goes to the source of the corrupted frequencies and she sees the liaison she killed standing in the middle. Linnae questions the guy who he really is, but he turns the table on her and tells her that it's all up to her who she chooses to be and what she's willing to lose. The liaison offers to help her, but Linnae says, nah, I'ma do my own thing, and that should put a stop to whatever he's planning. The liaison then goes, oh, so you're changing titles now? Okay. And if she turns him in, the Space Strike Collective will come for her too. Now before leaving, the liaison triggers the Hypatia, which is a full-on female mech, bruh. We cut back to us and I already showed and mentioned this part before, but there was more to it. We'll make a cool ass entrance. Of course we do, we're the freaking MC, bruh. We got an aura farm. We look at Linnae like, got some explaining to do, shawty. The Hypatia suddenly attacks us and we get into a boss fight. After beating the Hypatia, Linnae tries to talk to us, but nah, we just straight up ignore her, bruh. Damn, she done messed up, bruh. Oh, hell nah. We asked her why she's here, but she's lost for words. Warren then arrives, and he of course sees the Hypatia broken, so he orders one of the researchers he's with to report all the damage to the institute and raise security levels. Warren questions Linnae what she's doing here and that she's supposed to be in class. Linnae tells him that she noticed the Hypatia was out of control, so she tried to stop it. Warren tells her that she should have notified the academy or the institute first, and regardless of her circumstance, if she can't provide a reasonable explanation, they've reason to believe that she's involved with the incident, directly or indirectly. We tried to calm Warren down and tried to help out Linnae since there must be another reason for Linnae's actions. And besides, it seems she was about to tell us if it weren't for Warren arriving. Linnae then goes to trial and we're there as a witness. Linnae tells the professors everything that happened and that the exoswarm remains should still be there. But when Warren checks, no remains were found. Of course. She then tells them to check the cameras and that the cameras should have captured the exoswarm. But they didn't, and that Linnae wasn't in the footage at all. Warren suspects that she was avoiding the cameras, so he suggests what if the footage was tampered with. Warren says that it's possible, but only if Linnae and the exoswarm were truly there. And since neither side can confirm it, one of the professors suggested that they should verify if the footage was altered, and Warren also says that they should expand the scope of the investigation. They then tell Linnae to remain on academy grounds until the investigation is done. We head out with Linnae, and she thanks us for speaking up for her. We then ask her what was that device she was holding when Hypatia went berserk. She then looks straight at us and says,
good. You're still you.
bro, what? We asked her what's her real purpose, but she wants to move somewhere else first. We follow Linnae and she opens up to us again, telling us that she just wants to be like the other students in the academy. After following Linnae, she tells us that she'll tell us who she really is if you promise to let her stay at the academy as a student. Bro, I don't have the authority whether to let you stay or not. Anyways, we say yes, and she tells us that she basically did a good old switcheroo with the OG Linnae, and she pulls out a recording of the OG Linnae's, I'm guessing, final words before dying.
This is Linnae. Sorry, Overseer. We were ambushed.
What?
Don't worry.
Wait, Overseer? Wait,
I'll
hold
make
on.
it to Star Torch Academy in Lahai-Roi in time.
Wait, Overseer? Wait, isn't Overseer like in Praxis? Oh, hold on.
I'll complete the mission. Assigned by the Grand Architect.
Spoiler alert. Their mission wasn't completed.
Yeah, sounds like OG Linnae was part of Praxis. Linnae then tells us that she grew up in this part of the new federation called the Lawless Zone, and that you'd see blood spilled every 3 days on average. Damn! The new federation saw that she had talent and made her do dirty jobs, assassinating people. Then she came across the OG Linnae and took her identity. In the recording she played earlier, she found that on the OG Linnae's liaison at the academy, and that the OG Linnae wasn't just a regular student. But even so, she still came to the Lahai-Roi to get away from the new federation and start a new life. Linnae assures us that she doesn't work with the Praxidus unlike the OG Linnae, and that us and her share common interests and both consider the Praxidus as a threat. So we decide to work together to find out why the Praxidus is in the Lahai-Roi. And for our first lead, Hivacious malfunction and the contaminated exoswarm are definitely connected to the device Linnae found. And the device we found looks like Academy tech. But why would the Academy allow something so dangerous to circulate freely? Maybe the appearance is just a disguise, or maybe the maker had free access to the engineering department resources. After all, that contact who's been feeding Linnae orders might still be in the Academy. So we then go to the Department of Exostrator Engineering to investigate the manufacturing record. After some digging, Linnae finds out that the device she found really was disguised as a regular system data, which means that someone hijacked the department's equipment to make it. And the device may look like just a basic calibrator, but its inside are designed to store and amplify a tiny size of the voice storm frequency, enough to make stuff designed from Exostrator tech lose control, or when whoever made it can activate it remotely, so it can be activated again anytime. Linnae tells us that the reason she didn't hand it over to the Academy is because until she identifies the Praxidus contact, she's not letting the device go out of her sight. So first we've gotta neutralize the threat, get it to only activate if it resonates with Linnae, but during the process the mechs in the surrounding area will be affected, so we gotta keep them in check while Linnae does her thing. After keeping the mechs in check, Linnae tells us that the Academy's mechs and the void matter barrier security logs both show unusual access, and that the device has 3 frequency waveforms, one from Hivacia and the other 2 are unrecognizable. We then ask her how she knows what Hivacia's frequency waveform looks like, and confesses that she once hacked into the Institute's database and threw in some emojis in Hivacia's calibration data and left a note saying that they should upgrade their encryption. Yo, what? How did that only get you flagged, not expelled from the Academy, bro? Anyways, we reach the conclusion that the 2 unrecognizable frequency waveforms are probably the next targets after Hivacia. So we go to the Space Strike Archive and meet Iris, the retrieval AI of the Space Strike Archive and also the Archive's administrator. No way, chat, she's basically Grok. Why pay for Grok when you have her, bro? We give her keywords to narrow down to 3 results. While investigating some of the files, we find out that one of the unrecognizable frequencies in the device belongs to the Voidworm. We tell Linnae what we find out and conclude that by triggering a Voidworm rampage, the Praxidus target could be the Research Institute. Linnae also tells us that because of the Exostrator's great sword, Voidworms usually stay clear of the Institute. But before Hivacia lost control, she saw a lot of contaminated exoswarm remains nearby. So it looks like the contaminated exoswarm and Hivacia were just tests before the main event, and that their real goal is to control a Voidworm and attack the Institute. Oh, and Voidworms can be truly destroyed as long as the Void Storm and Cernodian exist. They're practically immortal, bruh. Linnae then tells us that she's gonna go to the Department of Engineering's crafting platform because the Praxidus might have more of the device. Yeah, ain't no way the Praxidus is only gonna make one device that's important to their plans, bro. And that we handle warn the Institute. Oh, and with the manufacturing manual we found, Linnae can boost the power of the device we have. That way we'll have a stronger bait if a Voidworm does show up. And we lead it to the Space Strike Collective's defense system. But that's only backup plan, since once we alarm the Institute, they'll have countermeasures ready. And Linnae doesn't really want to use it, since with Linnae being the only one who can control the device now, that ties her directly to Hivacia's malfunction. And Linnae tells us that the Praxidus has probably noticed the overridden permissions on the device at this point. As we leave the archive, we're stopped by professors telling Linnae that the Academy regards her presence concerning the Hivacia's malfunction. Bro, fuck that, we have a much more important thing to do. And what are these floating things beside their heads? We're this deep into the story and I'm still wondering what those are. Anyway, the professor talking to us says that the Academy received an anonymous report alleging a criminal record and a prison history under the name Linnae that closely matches our Linnae's identity. Oh shit, as if things couldn't get any more worse for her, bro. They didn't make her go back to her dorm to wait for the questioning, and that leaving without authorization counts as a breach of the Academy's regulations. We then go to the infirmary to find Herson and tell him everything we found out. Herson asks why tell him, so we tell him it's because he gave us a hint earlier.
Welcome back.
And he recognized us as the Black Shore's bloom bearer, even though that wasn't in our official record. Herson doesn't admit to anything, but he still agrees to help, and that he'll handle things with the Institute. We then go to Linnae's dorm and we tell her that the Praxidus' plan is still unclear, so it's best not to act rashly. Linnae tells us that there's nothing urgent for now, and instead opens up to us again. After opening up to us a bit, we ask her about the anonymous report. Who's the Linnae they are really talking about that has a criminal record and prison history? She tells us that it's the Praxidus Linnae, in other words, the OG Linnae. So the Linnae with the criminal record is not our Linnae. She then tells us that mercenaries in the New Federation are essentially government contractors. So after taking the Praxidus Linnae's identity and faking her death, they wipe all her mercenary records clean, so she can't even prove who she really is anymore, since she no longer has any records of her actual self. Damn, that's a really tough situation to be in. She thanks us for everything we've done for her, and she tells us the Academy is kicking her out, sending her her back to the new federation. Then it's either going back to being a mercenary or going to jail, but she doesn't want to choose either options. So she decides to run away. But before that, a void storm suddenly appears. We then suspect it's a void worm, but it's not targeting the institute, but the academy. We turn around and Linnea's gone. We then get a cutscene showing Linnea's past, what she actually looked like, and how she found the parasitus Linne.
Greedy eyes hiding behind masks.
Damn, she's bad with.
That was
Damn, she
everyday
kinda bad
life
with short
for
hair
a
too.
mercenary. I used to wonder, what if the sky above me wasn't always black? What if there really was another life
So
that
that's
could
what she
choose?
really looks like. Oh shit.
Even if the price would forever haunt me from the shadows, I'd still take the deal. No question. Every day at the academy has been more than I ever let myself hope for. The bright halls, charging into the unknown with people who had my back, eyes locked on the edge of the world, those good mornings at dawn, moments that don't just shine, but burn. Now I know that living, really living, has colors I didn't even know existed. So bright, you'd bleed to hold on to it. But just like the stories in all those old comics, stolen time always comes knocking.
Nah, bro. Nah.
Is it really okay to run away?
Damn, she was already a baddie even before changing her appearance. She looks good with short hair, bro. We leave the dormitory to look for Linne and we get another cutscene showing everyone evacuating. Oh, and Jesus here. Finally, we see her again. I totally forgot that she's also here. Anyway, we look around to find Linne, but what's more important right now is stopping the parasitus plan. We then get a call from Morny telling us that Hurston has filled her in on the situation. We tell her that we're gonna lure the voidworm to anti-voidworm defenses, but she tells us that the systems are down because of the void storm, and that we'll have to restart them manually on site, and it'll take some time. There are 3 arrays in total. Once we've restarted them all, they'll automatically sync and activate the voidworm's containment. We then get another cutscene. God damn, cutscene galore, bruh. The academy's barrier fails and the voidworm shows up. Damn, this motherfucker for real just appeared and the sky color changed, bro. We then cut to Linne going out with a rollerblade, sheesh, and save someone from the voidworm. While holding off the voidworm's attack, her eyelids start glowing. What's up with that? And oh shit, the exoswarms got rogue again. But before the exoswarms are able to attack her, we of course show up. And us together with Linne lure the voidworm away from the academy. We draw the voidworm to one of the arrays, and after activating it, the voidworm starts attacking the array. So Linne tells us that she'll lure it away while we handle the 2 other arrays. We switch to Linne's POV here and we get into a boss fight with the voidworm. After defeating the voidworm, we, the rover, has just activated the 2nd array. Bro, that boss fight took a fair amount of time. What do you mean we only activated it now? Anyway, the device to lure the voidworm is reaching its limit, so it's not working on the voidworm anymore, and it starts going after us. So after dodging the voidworm and giving this mech the Linne special, what was that? We activate the last array and the voidworm gets tied down, but it's not over yet. After closing in on it and attacking its weak spot, we start climbing the voidworm with Linne. And you know what? I'm gonna just let this cutscene play out, bro. Damn, the music, bro. Oh, shit. The music, bro. Oh my god.
Targeting the academy! Come on! Faster!
Oh shit.
Let's go back. Together.
After that, we head back to the academy with Lene, and we're instantly treated as celebrities. And we get another title, The Dark Thunderbolt.
Shut your
I kinda don't like the sound of that, but I think it'll grow on me over time. An academic affairs teacher then talks to Lene, and considering what she's done, they're grateful for her bravery. So they let her enroll to the academy under her real identity this time, and that she has to pass the entrance exam. Hey, all's well that ends well. She of course accepts and goes with the students affairs teacher. We then hear
Protect the sun.
from, I'm guessing, a woman based on what the voice sounded like. We then see these images. I don't know if that was supposed to mean something, but okay. And that's where Act 1 ends. But there is a bit more though. After 2 days, Lene messages us about a news headline, and we got this cool picture of Iris, aka Better Grok, showing shots of us and Lene facing off with the Void Worm. Damn, the media team definitely needs a raise, bro. For the effort they put in on these shots. How did they even get some of these? And the whole academy calls us Void Worm Riders now. I think I like the sound of that better compared to The Dark Thunderbolt. We then meet up with Lene at the garden.
You're here.
Damn! Let me say it one last time. She definitely wants us, bro. Look! Anyway, she tells us that the Praxis investigation is still going on, and she's still technically not enrolled yet. They confiscated her motorbike and she has no classes. But Morny gave her a ton of homework to keep her busy. Damn, bro. I wouldn't want that happening to me, bro. At least let me have this free time, bro. She then opens up to us again that ever since that news she sent us, people have been talking to her left and right wanting her autograph. But it doesn't feel right to her since they don't know her real identity. And even after everyone finds out who she really is, she still gets to stay. Makes her feel stupidly lucky. She also tells us that the academy will send her a new admission letter, and that she'll be starting over again as a first year. After some bit more emotional talk, she marks a new chapter in her life. I'm gonna just let this part play out, bro.
Whatever comes next, that's my life, and mine alone.
Damn. And the music, bro? Damn. I really like Lahai-Roi already, bro. Damn. The music, bro, shit. And they so beautiful, bro. And that's where the 3.0 story ends. It's just so peak, bro. It's just so peak. Anyways, this was huge for a first video. Thank you, viewer, for reaching the end. And see you in the next video.